You guys still hear the music?
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on there? Man. Okay. What is up, everybody? We're back for another edition of the NFT Roundtable, breaking down another wild week in NFTs and Web3. And by wild, I mean completely dead here. So happy 420 to those who celebrate. Oh, I see what we're doing here. Okay. And I had the other window open in the same tab there. So it usually seems like everybody in our corner of the NFT space here is celebrating 420 pretty much all year. So I don't know if this day is any different, but happy 420 to those who are. Welcome to anyone new to the show. Happy to have you here. If you're lurking in the YouTube or Twitter streets, feel free to drop some comments in the chat and chime in on the discussion. I'm your host, Ghost. I'm joined by the full Lucky Trader squad today. We've got Logan, editor-in-chief over at Lucky Trader. He's a Clay NFT maxi. We've got Jason, our NFT lead at Lucky Trader. He's rocking the CryptoPunk. Tyler, our Lucky Trader content star over there. He's repping the Pudgy Penguin. He's the host of our Lucky Lead and Morning Minute shows over there. How's everybody doing? Tyler, would love to hear. I know you were recovering from NFT NYC, so we'd love to hear how that's going.
Yeah, I'm feeling better. I've actually been doing a 3-day liquid only cleanse diet. I haven't had any solid food. I'm going on 3 days now. It's the first time I'm doing it. And I feel great. I wish the markets felt as great as I do. And I'd love to spend, an hour talking about the ins and outs of this fast. Maybe we can save that for another show.
And I know we've got Logan and Jason together in the same area. I know they are in different rooms, but under the same roof. So how is the trip going over there?
It's good. The weather is fantastic. I've traveled down the coast to Miami, really enjoying the sunshine, the warm breeze. I certainly can't complain.
Yeah, it's always great here, except for last week when we got, 27 inches of rain and nothing was working right. So glad that's over. Got gas yesterday. I don't know if those watching know, but there's this gas shortage in South Miami and got gas yesterday, so feeling good.
Well, the gas prices in Ethereum are up. So even though there's a gas shortage there is not in the NFT space. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about the NFT downturn. We're going to be talking about Moonbirds making some moves, some Web3 footwear wars, meme coins, and more. Just a reminder before we get started, none of this is financial advice. None of us know anything. And if you like this content, make sure you check out our roundtable articles that drop each week alongside the show. So without further ado here, let's get into our first topic. Are NFTs actually dead? All right. So are NFTs bleeding out here? Over the last few days, the NFT markets have experienced some of the worst numbers in terms of users and sales in the last year. And it makes you wonder, why is this happening? What's causing this downturn here? The charts don't look great, with the active amount of users in the space down to about 8,000 and NFT trading volume following a similar trend here. And one of the main factors has been the abnormally high gas cost that we've been seeing on the ETH network, as we just mentioned there. So due to increased activity on the network and the MEV bot Sandwicher, and one bot with the ENS name Jared from Subway.eth is accounting for a ridiculous amount of the action there. And gas costs have just soared, making transactions really expensive for users. And outside of gas being high and restrictive trading, some other factors to consider include some asset rotation due to tax payments. We just saw that the tax deadline happened. We saw people like Jimmy.eth selling off some major grails to pay for some tax costs there. And then we also saw this meme coin boom, which we'll talk a little bit more in depth later. But that's diverted a lot of attention and funds away from the space, the JPEG space here. We've also got a broader macro downturn and then regulatory fear in the crypto space. We saw a lot about Gary Gensler earlier this week and what Coinbase is doing about potentially moving out of the US. And I think that's stoking some fears there as well. So that leads into some broader questions about for the panel here. I'm curious to hear from you guys. How much weight do you give to each of these factors, such as taxes, high gas fees, meme coins? How are those impacting the market? Is one more impactful than the other, or are there bigger issues like a lack of innovation or interesting projects that are more to blame here? I'll start with you, Jason.
Yeah, so I think it's some combination of all of these things. I don't think taxes is too important, though. We saw some major whale sell-offs due to taxes. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I do think what's interesting is we call NFTs meme coins with pictures, right? But meme coins are doing way better right now than NFTs are. So if that's true, then you're not doing a very good job at making them meme coins with pictures. I think mostly the space is to blame for not doing anything that interesting. Though I don't think, to answer the question, that NFTs are dead, especially not my NFTs. I think CryptoPunks will be fine, obviously, and some of these other NFT projects are doing some cool things right now, but I haven't seen much in terms of news outside of a few of the things we're going to talk about later on the show, like Moonbirds. I think also NFT NYC, like less people are trading, gas fees being up. So yeah, some amount of weight to everything, but I would like to blame the NFT space for lack of innovation mostly.
Tyler,
I think.
you have some thoughts here? Or go ahead, Logan.
I'm sorry. Maybe it's just because I'm dealing with better internet connection and I can hear Jason in the other room. So I'm not as lagged. But to jump in, I think it is some combination of all of them. But really, I think it is more the meme coin stuff than anything else. Like taxes, I don't think it's playing too much of a role. Gas fees, we traded through those willingly, right, during 2021. It's a combination of really not too much innovative stuff happening in the space, and the fun being had because there are gains to be had, or at least there were. I have not checked the prices of some of these meme coins in the last few days, but gains to be had in meme coins. And so that's what it feels like to me. I think it's interesting Jason brings up the lack of innovation. We talked a little bit about it on the show this morning. Plug for the Lucky Lead every Monday through Friday, 10 to 10:30. Please listen to that and join us. But we talked a little bit about it, and just, it does feel like a boring time in the market. I think the difficult part is that there are always sort of on the fringes experimental things happening. I saw Nate Alex tweet earlier today looking for people to like bring back experimenting in NFTs, which of course Nate and his projects have done a great job of doing. I think that is out there and exists right now. And maybe we're somewhat to blame, or, some other entity or the influencers or whatever. Like we're doing a really poor job as an ecosystem of highlighting those things and being okay with them. And in large part, it's as a result of the fact that like you probably can't make money with them right now. And so that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Logan, and I hate to say, his medium board or his use of the boring term so frequently is right, but that's definitely how I would represent my feelings. It's just like there's nothing fun to trade, and I'm a pretty active trader. Multiple times per day, like logging in every day, thinking about trading NFTs, and I'm trading maybe 1 or 2 times per week right now. It's just not fun. It's just been hot potato for kind of the same types of projects for months and months now. The PFP scene is mostly tired. We're not seeing anything new. I can't buy art. I want to buy art, but it just keeps going down in price week over week. So I'm just forced to stay on the sidelines. And then, there's also this like disconnect with the current market participants, and so frustrating. Like I just watched the Escher edition mint out. It was Arsenic's piece. It was a 420 supply, $69, minted out pretty much right away. And then 30% were listed within 10 minutes, and the floor had already been undercut the mint price. It's just like, why did you buy this thing? This is an art edition. But that's just like just shares kind of like the state of the market. Everyone's trying to get in for a quick flip. And then if they can't get it, they're ready to just get out. And I think Gravity Schmavity has a great comment here. The blur gameplay is having an outsized negative effect. And it's kind of hard to argue against that at this point. I think a big part of the reason people have been drawn away is just how tiresome the blur farming has been. It's been this group of small whales who are just buying and selling on top of each other has kind of just destroyed the fun of buying these NFTs, specifically in the PFP sector. I think NFT Statistics had a great term for it. He called it the blur vortex. Essentially, there's a small section of NFTs that are just getting bought and sold by the farmers. You've got long-term holders who are adding some to that pool. Hopefully you've got some long-term buyers coming in, and that's kind of like that's the net sum to watch to really indicate if the needle is going to move forward. And unfortunately, we've got more long-term sellers than buyers right now is what this looks like.
So what do you think it takes to turn something like that around? Are we in just a normal cycle where we all seen the Wall Street psychology there, where there's the depression and anger stage? Like, are we just in a normal cycle where it's going to turn around soon, or is this the beginning of a prolonged bear, or are NFTs maybe just a bubble? And like, I don't know, maybe the JPEG like a profile picture era as we know it, it might be just over, and it might be time for some new innovations.
I think we're in the depression stage. I wish we had that chart. It feels like we had the parabolic leg up. We're down. We had like a little bit of a recovery here, and now we're on the downtrend. Are all the PFPs going to recover? No, I also don't think the PFP projects, the main ones, are dead by any means. I think that the real struggle going forward, these products are going to have, is how to appease your holders from 2021 and 2022 who bought in at much higher prices, versus trying to grow the brand and reach future 2023, 2024 buyers, trying to reach the masses with different types of NFTs with different types of price points. It's going to be very hard to please both of those groups.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Tyler. And you hit on it a little bit earlier as well. Just the buyer demographic right now is miserable for trying to send floor price up, for trying to generate any like those fringe innovative projects that I was talking about earlier. Like the demographic of people participating right now don't care about those because, they likely can't make money, or it requires a bit more work, right, to make money with them. Or there's, a long time horizon for those things to come to fruition, or whatever the case may be. And so, yeah, I think it's just like really, really difficult. I know we're going to talk about shoes and Nike and Adidas a little bit later, but from my standpoint, you almost have to do a complete turnover and just complete level set of like expectations for users in the space. And that may come via these, larger brands, bringing in people who have not yet had to deal with the insanities or the volatility of, the existing market or the market to date.
I think you make a good point, Logan. Jason, go ahead.
I just wanted to say real quick that I think the way that this gets fixed is one of Ghost's original questions is they answer Tyler's question about the arsenic drop. Why did you buy this? Like, why would you buy any of this right now? Prices seem to continuously go down. At some point, they'll be low enough that people will make bets on the future. I think you'll see that with like Cool Cat's under 1 ETH now. At some point in time, a couple $100s to own a Cool Cat, which is one of the original OG projects in the space, I think makes sense. But some of these projects that are more expensive, or some of these projects that are just coming out now, why buy it? And the answer is to flip it. For most people, there's more traders here than long-term holders. And until you can convince people to hold things long-term by doing something innovative in the space, you're not going to get that. So.
Yeah, I tend to agree. There's just not enough reason to buy right now, really, for much. I will comment on Logan was kind of talking about, flipping expectations, almost kind of rebuilding. I think one team that might be doing that before our eyes is Moonbirds. And shout out to Obi-Wan Kenobi here listening with us. I know he's been a rock solid Moonbirds holder. I think they're at the point where they're starting to plan for the future. They went through the process of saying, okay, we're art focused now. Essentially, we're sorry for the price action. We couldn't control that. But this is our plan. This is how we're going to move forward. And they're starting to execute on that. And I actually think, Moonbirds are kind of starting to look attractive at 2.68 ETH or whatever they were I saw earlier today. The problem is so many of us had this bias. They used to be 40 ETH. And it's just hard to buy something that's down so much because you just kind of inherently, the straight line bias that Jason has written about, you just assume it's just going to zero, and it's kind of hard to get out of that mindset. But I think that's an example of a team kind of trying to turn the ship. So maybe we probably need more of that to get us out of this hole. But I'm not seeing too many other teams really doing it right now.
Yeah, and we'll hit on Moonbirds a little bit more in detail in a couple sections here. I do agree, though, Moonbirds does seem to be doing some cool stuff. And it's interesting to me, coming from seeing you at NFT NYC, it seemed like the vibes were pretty good. But then I mentioned this on the Lucky Lead, I think earlier this week, that the space from 2021 to now has really transformed from being mostly in Discord communities to now just like on NFT Twitter. And the way that the algorithm has kind of worked, at least since under Elon, has just been like negativity always rises to the top. And I feel like all of our timelines now are just completely full of people shit posting or doing whatever, but it's all just negative. So I think it's a lot harder to build a community now when people aren't as using Discord as much as they used to, where you could kind of just sit and vibe and meet people, where now it's kind of everyone's racing to shit post to get the most likes. And that usually ends up being super negative. So that's my 2 cents right there. I want to keep it moving, though. I want to do talk a little bit about the recent Memecoin Mania, which has completely taken over the space. So here we go. All right. So one of Logan's favorite slogans, as we mentioned earlier, is being medium board, and it has certainly felt like the NFT space collectively is feeling that right now. And with everybody looking for a new dopamine hit, with our JPEGs being down only, many have turned to these meme coins. So Pepe has been the main attraction, minting millionaires overnight after launching Friday and catching fire this past weekend. Some of the stories that we saw of people who got in early have been truly insane. There was a tweet about a user who bought tokens for $27 that were worth over $1 million just a few days later. You really only see that in crypto, so just absolutely insane there. And then the run-up and the subsequent launch of a million other speculative shitcoins has grabbed the attention of the space, and it seems to have migrated everyone over to playing in the coin casino over trading JPEGs, at least for the time being, looking at the volume charts here. So I'm curious to hear from our panel here. Have you guys participated in the shitcoin, meme coin movement here? Do any of these have legs, or will this be something that we forget about in a week and just move on to something else?
Man, I think it's really likely that we will forget about this in a week. Like if I were to put the probabilities on it, I'd say probably in like the 70% range. But I couldn't help but participate a little bit for I'm not exactly even sure why. I'm typically not degenning into something like this, but I don't know, happenstance, just the circumstances of where I was at the moment in time. I did buy Pepe earlier this weekend, or I guess last weekend at this point. And I've done quite well on it, even though it was a tiny bag. It's an interesting thing to me that so many people have like willingly participated, with no real due diligence, et cetera. It kind of reminds me of some of the early 2021 NFT stuff. But I think the most like perhaps idiotic thing about this entire thing was when I was thinking about whether or not to sell, I did one of those stupid market cap things where it was like, put in Pepe if Pepe had X's market cap. And so I did that with Shiba Inu. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to hold a little bit more just in case. Pepe, of course, the frog. I'm not a huge Pepe fan. I don't own any like Pepe NFTs or anything. I don't really get the meme, whatever. It's not my thing. But it's huge in this space, right? And so if anything were to do it, you would think this might have the chance to do it. And that's kind of where I stand and hold a small bag. But I think 70-80% likelihood that we're not talking about it next week.
I definitely think you got to hold at least some of the Pepe for the moon bag in case it does go there. But I'm kind of with your percentages there. It doesn't feel too likely. A couple thoughts. One, it's so interesting that I feel like the NFT space has gotten a little bit more mature, whereas we weren't, if it was a non-teams, a non-founders, we weren't just paying up to get into these NFT projects anymore. We kind of stopped minting those. But here's shitcoin season, and people are just aping into whatever contract they can get their hands on if they can get into it early enough. And apparently just totally fine with just, pissing away that money. And it's because of the crazy returns they've seen people kind of advertise from the winners, which is probably a little bit of survivorship bias. This does not feel like, to me, like it's got much longer to run. GCR, one of the more notable crypto traders, tweeted a few hours ago that to take profits. So he's kind of calling for a local top. Certainly altcoins can run a little bit further past when Bitcoin and ETH start to turn down. But I mean, if we see any nuking in those markets, it does feel like these shitcoins could go to zero pretty quick.
Yeah, and I would say that I hate to be the downer all the time, but we're still in a bear market. If we were in a bull market, you'd see me with a Pepe hat on, and you would see me creating memes with a rocket ship and a Pepe holding on and straight to the moon and whatever. But we're in a bear market. I mean, these things are going to zero. I think your percentages are low. 70% seems low. I'd peg it at more like 90%. They're just, how are they going to be sustained when Bitcoin dips, or if Bitcoin starts running, all the money's going to funnel into that. So I don't see a good outcome for anyone trading Pepe currently.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the participants who might not be as familiar with these shitcoins that are just getting absolutely destroyed by sandwich bots like Jared from Subway, or like starting to get into like the Telegram like shitcoin channels where they're just aping into every single one, and so many of those end up being rugs or honeypots or whatever. So I think it's adding a lot of risk to a space that people already were getting scammed left and right as it was. So this is definitely even more dangerous of a water, in my opinion, to be wading in. And I kind of agree with all the sentiment there. Pepe is a great meme. I'm surprised there wasn't some sort of coin that ran with that name earlier. So I'm not sure about that one, but I avoided going into any other ones. I know, Tyler, you got Wojak a little bit. I didn't even realize that guy's name was Wojak. The classic meme there. I didn't know he had a meme name, but that's the Wojak guy. But yeah, I don't know how much you have to go, but I just caution everyone who's playing around there to just be super careful with what you're doing there.
I had to jump in. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I had to jump in and play the Rocket game a little bit, right? So like I missed Pepe. Wojak seemed to be like it was kind of somewhat tied, at least like a fractional basis to Pepe. So if Pepe was going to moon, Wojak would probably run up with. That was my logic. But man, I'm not cut out for the shitcoin Rocket game. And like there was a bad dip yesterday. I sold. I rebought. I scalped like another 30% that I got out. It's just I don't have the stomach for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sorry, Ghost. I was going to say that even beyond, you mentioned like the potential for honeypots and, scammers and all that stuff. Even beyond that, even if you're doing it right, like you are buying the right coin and stuff like that with gas fees and stuff. I had a normie friend text me literally earlier today. He's like, "Hey, are you buying Amigo?" Which I don't know what that is. Literally no clue what the price, anything like that is. But I was like, how much are you trying to buy? And he's like, I'm going to buy $100. And I said, well, by the time you buy it and like by the time you would even consider exiting, like you're probably losing 30 to 40%, right? Like just based on fees alone and potential slippage. So even if you're doing things right, like it just doesn't seem like a worthwhile endeavor for most every participant out there at present time. And ultimately that may end up being one of the catalysts to it continuing going down.
I would say though,
go ahead.
If you're only putting $100 in, like I don't know, I put $100 into a DFS contest to try to win $1 million. Put $100 into Pepe to try to win, $10,000 or whatever it is. That's fine. My bigger concern, again, circling back to what I said earlier, is Pepe is literally a visual meme, and the coin is skyrocketing, and we couldn't create an NFT collection that skyrocket. Like if they're meme coins with photos, like we're losing big time here. It looks bad to have meme coins skyrocketing and NFTs so bad right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Matt Fury and his Pepe collections. I don't know if they've seen any rise on this, but we have some Pepe collections there. I know that he's actually taken action, I think, against a few in the past. So I don't know how he feels about this whole Pepe coin here. I'm sure he's not thrilled about it.
We had our Pepe run already with Vincent Van Doe's notable Pepes, right? He sold 400,000 of those things. Those did 5x, maybe more. But yeah, it feels like the shitcoin memes are beating us right now in the NFT space. I think a part of it is also the entry price. I think someone on the morning show made a good point. You can throw 0.01 ETH at a shitcoin and enjoy the ride. NFTs have a little bit harder. They typically have a higher entry price, so it's a little bit harder to do that, which could be a factor.
Yep, I agree. And to get away from shitcoins a little bit here, let's get back to the JPEG, since that's what we focus on here, and we'll bring it back to two Web2 brands that are kind of competing here for some market share here. So two Web2 competitors taking very different approaches to the Web3 space lately. This week, we saw Nike announce the launch of its first-gen digital shoes through the Air Force One program under the .swoosh initiative. Priced at just around $20, these affordable digital shoes are aiming to capture the masses. .swoosh is the Web3 platform for Nike's virtual and digital goods. They offer community members the chance to create, collect, trade, and flex Nike virtual creations, as well as access exclusive content, drops, and events. The platform has seen 330,000 members already, so the Swoosh community has been growing rapidly. And this week, we saw Nike airdrop AF1 posters to random .swoosh members this week, which act as a mint pass to receive the shoes there. And those who receive the free posters will have the first access to purchase the on-force ones there. And then we have Adidas, who's doing a slightly different approach there. They have their alt NFT program, which is combining elements of PFPs, interactive storytelling, and utility. So alt holders can evolve their NFTs into PFPs with specific traits, which unlock custom utility within the Adidas ecosystem. So they have both universal and custom utility, which I found a little interesting there. So alt holders can access exclusive physical and virtual products, experiences, and opportunities kind of based on some of the traits there, as well as just overall utility for everyone. So that leads me to my question for the panel here. Are you buying either one of these? And do you feel like either company is doing a better job of maybe building for mass adoption versus building in a more NFT centric way? Or how do you determine the strategies there on how they're doing? I'll tee it up with Tyler there. Sorry.
Yeah, I can jump in. So I like what both teams are doing. It's very interesting to see the different approaches. So Adidas is kind of going the PFP route and then unlocking utility for their holders kind of through the evolution of those PFPs, which I think is maybe a little bit more Web3 native than what Nike is doing, which is essentially just launching a digital product and selling it to a consumer base. But at the same time, I think what Nike has done well is their kind of grassroots community building and then the entry price on these Air Force Ones. And I mean, $19.82 was a smart decision in my perspective. And I will likely be buying some of those. I definitely want to have a handful of the first digital shoes that Nike launches with Air Force One. I think they could be good collectibles. Not saying the Adidas ones won't, but they're a little higher entry. I think they're like 0.4, 0.5 each. Now you're talking about $1,000. So I think Adidas is doing a little bit better at Web3, but Nike has a better shot at reaching the masses. And we've already seen that with some of the numbers that you read off.
But before I get to the rest of the panel, I do want to follow up on Tyler there. So I'm curious to hear what you think of Artifact and their original Nike collabs with the shoes there and how this impacts them a little bit.
I mean, I think Artifact is like the redheaded stepchild at this point, and they're not getting much love from Nike. Nike is very much focused on Air Force One, and I think that the original Artifact Crypto Dunk shoes could still be valuable one day. They're down like 90% or whatever, but their outlook is not looking quite as bright and rosy as it was this time last year.
Can I jump in on this one? I think this is a super interesting topic. I saw some folks talking about Nike abandoning Artifact. And I had the pleasure of updating Tyler, the great guide that you put together when .swoosh was announced. This is back in November of 2022. And you like put a section together at that time about what does this mean for Artifact? And interestingly enough, like it seems to be that they're operating just as intended based on my interpretation of what you've written, Tyler, and what's included here. Like that these were going to be, pretty separate platforms and entities, like basically from the start. And so it does feel like they are distinct in nature, but like almost by design, right? Like almost clearly by design. To that point, I definitely think that like .swoosh is a slam dunk, or at least a potential slam dunk for getting more people in this space. And I don't know that, Artifact is as much of a sure thing as we expected when they were previously acquired by Nike. But to the question about, where does Artifact fit in? They kind of spelled it out for us back in November. And I think many people are just kind of forgetting about, exactly how that was communicated at the time. And if I'll just stay on the mic since I've got it right now and hand it over. Comparing the two, Adidas, Nike, I think Tyler's thoughts are pretty much in line with my own. You're going to see great potential for both of these entities, just given their global, massive, corporations. Great potential from both of them to bring in new people. We were talking about we need maybe a different type of person, a different demographic to help participate. This is a pretty clear path in, and with fewer barriers to entry than, your typical NFT would have.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is that with super massive collections like Nike's obviously willing to offer here, I don't see how anyone's going to make money on those. It might be a cool thing to collect if you actually are like a sneakerhead and you like Nike. But I'm more interested in when Nike decides to actually take the leap and transition their sneakerhead fans into the NFT realm with super rare collections. If I buy a Nike shoe for $100 or whatever, I do it because they're more comfortable than their competitors. But if I buy them for $250 all the way up to, you've seen them go for $10,000 rather frequently, all the way up to like $50,000 for some of the super rare Nikes. I'm doing that for collectible because they're collectibles and because no one else can have them. And if 299,999 other people can have them, then I'm not sure that I really want them. It might be great for mass adoption, but that's not what sneakerheads are looking for. And I really am more interested in whether Reebok or Nike will win the sneakerhead war in the future. It doesn't look like either are taking that approach yet.
Well, you got to get them here first, right? Though, like you have to get people to the platform first, and that's where $20 Air Force One potentially. I'm not to speak for Nike. I'm not a business guy per se, but like this, this is your potential entry point, getting people familiar with the platform, and then you start dropping that type of stuff.
Yeah, sure. But if you put the super rare Nikes that everybody wants, the $10,000 Nikes, the limited edition drops, if you made those NFTs and you told someone, here's the hoops you have to jump through to go get them, every single person who wants them is going to go jump through those hoops. So I don't really think it's about getting people here. I think it's about proof of concept right now. I think Nike's trying to prove that NFTs exist in the company in some way, trying to make the most amount of money, which is mass adoption with NFTs. But I don't think that Nike or Reebok really, I don't think it'll matter too much until the metaverse is more of a thing and there's actually digital wearables that people care about, or if they tie this NFT technology to real life products and do that with the $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 sneakers.
So then that could be a bullish point for Adidas here, because kind of the negative you're saying here, Jason, is that there's 300,000 supply. Well, Adidas only has 17,000 of the alts. I think that's the number. That means when you're trying to unlock utility, exclusive access to different drops, to shoes, to events, it is on a smaller scale. So maybe that is more valuable, right, than what Nike will be able to offer from a utility standpoint through the Air Force Ones. And I do think they are going to offer some type of exclusive access, but to your point, how exclusive is it if hundreds of thousands of people have it? So maybe Adidas is back in the lead. Well,
yeah, and me and Logan were talking about this earlier in the car driving back from basketball today, and I think it's interesting. They need to start doing more raffle mechanics in these sort of larger drops. Like, so say Nike sold 300,000 NFTs and 300,000 people had NFTs, and say 100 people randomly got like these super rare Nike shoes. That might make the NFTs worth, say, $100 instead of $30. Like, if you actually dropped raffle mechanic, I mean, you would obviously isolate a lot of the people who hold these things because only 30 out of 300,000 would win. But it's an actual reason to hold these things. It's we're specifically talking about Moonbirds, which I think is our next topic here, and whether or not you want to hold an NFT to potentially acquire another NFT. And the only reason you would is if that other NFT is definitely worth a lot of money and super rare. So yeah, it's just an interesting point there.
Well, and I think it reminds me of our conversation a couple of weeks ago around ticketing and how you see the same thing in the sneakers app for people that are trying to get those rare sneakers. You see the bots just completely dominate those on that app. And I feel like that's ripe for disruption with an NFT that would just solve a lot of those problems. So I feel like Nike is on the right track there. They just need a little push there, or maybe the Air Force One collection eventually gets integrated into that somehow, or they make it digital where you could claim for a physical. But I do think that the technology and the product fit there kind of makes sense. Any closing thoughts on that, guys, or should we ready to move on to Moonbirds?
Yep,
let's move on to the birds then. Let's do it.
That was so depressing.
I guess the owl wasn't loud enough there. But the Moonbirds have been making moves over the last week here. They made some major announcements this week, including the introduction of Talons token, which is going to be an internal reward system. And contrary to what a lot of people expected, the Talons token will not be a publicly tradable token, but will instead function similar to rewards points, as Kevin Rose described earlier on the proof call. So talons will accrue daily via nesting for Moonbirds, similar to the old structure there. And then tokens will be able to be used for allow list spots, for exclusive drops, access to merch, in-real IRL events, and more. Upon the news, the Moonbirds floor experienced a brief 10% increase to 3.3 ETH, and then retraced pretty much to where it was. Oddity saw a pretty similar price action there. The proof team wasn't done there, though. They shared several other roadmap updates for the ecosystem, including the Diamond exhibition, which is starting on April 27th. Day one nesters receiving early access to that through the Day One pass. Those passes were dropped earlier this week. We're sitting at a 0.25 floor earlier this today. And then we saw the Mythics egg claim start on April 17th, with early claimers having better odds at rare eggs. Those were sitting at a 0.33 floor earlier today, and not a huge major rarity premium so far between trades. We also heard about Moonbirds Ascend, which I'm not even really sure what that covers, and then the Community Council. So some things that are being teased that we're not really fully aware of. And then the team also released the first Moonbird short, which was created by Golden Wolf, who was recently acquired by Doodles, the animation studio there. And I got the video there, so I'm going to play this short that they posted. I thought that was pretty cool, honestly.
It was a good video.
Yeah,
that was the first time I had seen it a little bit earlier today. I hadn't seen it before that, and I thought it's pretty well done. So curious to hear from the panel here. Are we feeling bullish about these announcements here? Anyone have any strong takes here on what's going on?
I've got super strong takes, and they're kind of all over the place. So I bought 5 Moonbirds on mint day. I bag held them through the parabolic run up to the 40 ETH floor, slowly sold off across the last few months. I am now Moonbirds list. As someone who was involved when the floor price was so high, it is difficult to see that the nesting reward is a mint pass that's worth 0.25 ETH on secondary. That is tough to see. But putting that aside, putting bag holder bias aside, I do like what they're doing. And as someone kind of coming in fresh to the project now, it's becoming a more attractive entry price for what they have to deliver. And the chatter I've heard from folks is they are starting to become genuinely excited about the ability for the proof team to bring top caliber artists to them, and Moonbirds being able to mint that. So that is real utility. And if that's where they lean in, Kevin Rose has those connections. That's probably their strong suit. I mean, they lost a year with everything they were trying to do with high rise and whatnot, but that's in the past. Quickly, I don't understand Mythics. I don't know why Mythics are in this ecosystem. I don't know why this ecosystem needed another 10,000 NFTs. So that didn't, or it might be 20,000. I'm not sure. That part doesn't make sense to me, especially for a rebounding ecosystem. Why you need to now throw in more? They're going to have a low floor price that looks bad. So I don't love that move, but I do like what they're doing otherwise.
Yeah, I think since the rebrand or whatever you want to call the major ecosystem update, I've been pretty impressed with the communications from the team, and it's actually felt like since that time, maybe it was just kind of happenstance or perfectly planned. Since that time, they haven't waited too long to fall off the radar. Like the announcements have kind of followed in order, appropriately to kind of keep them in our attention span. And there's been nothing to date that they've really failed to execute on since that moment in time. And so I think those are all like small victories. And at this point in time, given where the sentiment had gotten, you really just need to continue to stack those small wins to try to attract back or, attract any old owners or, to gain, people, new owners. The Tyler's point regarding the artist connections, I mean, that's the slam dunk for me. Like if you're going to participate, they did a live every day with Beeple, right? They did Beeple's included in the Diamond exhibition. I saw people tweeting about this today, like the first day pass or whatever, what was it, 0.35 I had seen earlier. Perhaps it's changed a little bit or I'm misremembering that. But, that's for Beeple's pieces. Like what's the cheapest Beeple? It's like an everyday is the cheapest piece. And it's like 9 ETH or something like that. I mean, these are pretty good gambles to take. And it's not just Beeple, like take a look through that list of 24 artists. There will be some that you won't maybe necessarily recognize. There'll be many that you definitely do, definitely recognize. Like Beeple is not just like a one-time thing and the rest of the 23 are bad. It's nothing like that.
Yeah, I have 3 things to say if I can keep them all straight in my head right now. First of all, that's the first time that I saw that video. It's very well done. I'm not entirely sure why it exists, but it's very well done. The second thing is exactly what Logan said is, gambles and connections to artists would be great. If you could hold something and potentially be put into a raffle to win a Beeple, a one-of-one Beeple or something like that, that's actually worth a lot of money, that's a reason to hold. Though I do think even artists are actually benefiting from this in the bear market because they have instant access to all these Moonbird holders who probably want to collect their art, and Moonbirds will, advertise that to, and especially artists who aren't as well known as people. I wonder how exactly this works in a bull market where potentially the artists don't really need Moonbirds to release their collections. They'll sell instantly regardless. And then the last thing I want to talk about is talents that no one touched on yet. I actually love that they didn't allow these to be traded. The worst thing possible for a collection, and we saw this with Cool Cats and we saw this with a ton of other projects already, is that you release this token that's supposed to be some utility token or whatever, and you can actually trade it for ETH or for USDC or for whatever. And then that token tanks like they're all going to, especially when the supply is so high. And then people tie that token to the price of the actual NFT. So your Cool Cat, say, can earn 100,000 milk, and 100,000 milk is worth $1,000, and therefore Cool Cat should only be worth 0.5 ETH. That would have been a disaster for Moonbirds, and it's a really good thing that they made that not tradable.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting conversation regarding tokens. We see Memeland as one of the few projects left that I feel like is still going forward with what feels like a traditional token similar to ApeCoin, but it's pretty much impossible these days, both from a regulatory standpoint and just like you said, with the tokens all pretty much trending to zero, for any project to successfully launch one without facing either regulatory issues or significant backlash. So I totally agree with that. Tyler, I see you shaking your head a little bit. You have an additional thought there?
Memecoin is so hot right now, but man, that is the single biggest risk to that ecosystem, which is kind of starting to pull ahead. And I think it's starting to pull ahead a little bit from the pack because of this Memecoin and because they're earlier on in their kind of project life cycle than the earlier wave of PFPs are. And maybe 9gag and the team, maybe they're big enough to support enough demand for this coin. But I mean, how big was Bored Apes and Yuga when ApeCoin launched, right? There's multiples higher than where Captains and Potatoes are at right now. And, Yuga also kind of a unicorn. So I think it's very hard to even consider replicating it. So far, the only other, I know Memeland has a hardcore fan base, but the only incentive to buy any NFTs is to be able to get access to future things so far, I guess, is what I've seen.
Yeah. Can I jump in on the Memecoin thing? I think your point about comparing it to Yuga is totally spot on, Tyler. I mean, in that regard, Memeland is nowhere near where Yuga was when Ape dropped, like without a doubt, right? I think there's no way you could say anything other. Something that to me, and maybe I'm not thinking about this appropriately, so feel free to correct, but just the way that Memeland's approached its entire ecosystem, like beyond just the NFTs, it feels like perhaps there is more like potential for use of a token than Yuga would have had when ApeCoin dropped. Like, what could you have done with ApeCoin when it dropped initially? Like, basically nothing, right? Like, almost nothing. Like, there was like a
bananas game.
Yeah, right. Like, there's a merch drop, maybe a little early in or whatever. Like, I feel like the meme land ecosystem, there's stuff brewing there, and much of it is still veiled, but you know, you have stake land and like other things. And like, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm speculating, of course, like we all are, but it just feels like the way that they've gone about it, perhaps there would be more immediate use. And that doesn't mean anything for the price of a token or the success of the projects as it relates to the price of the token. But at least in terms of like, why would you, it makes, I don't know, it makes me feel a bit more comfortable than perhaps I would have otherwise.
Yeah, I want to keep the conversation moving here and so get to our game here because we're running low on time. So let's transition over to the game for today, which is going to be AI Pictionary. All right, so it's been a little bit too long. I know Tyler, Jason loves games here, and it's been a long time since we played a game, a couple weeks now. So I've crafted a fun one for us today called NFT AI Pictionary. Earlier today, I took several NFT projects, just the names. All of these come from the top 100 in lifetime overall volume for reference, and put their names into Midjourney with no other context or information, just the name. So I'm going to show you a couple pictures here of each one, and it's going to be your guys' job to interpret the art and figure out what project Midjourney is interpreting there. So the first couple are going to be pretty easy just to get your beak wet here. Some are going to be a little bit more difficult, so we'll start from the easy ones and gradually get more difficult. I found that nifty online buzzer tool, so I'm going to be doing that on the side here. So we're going to show you a picture. I want you guys to buzz in when you know it. Don't blurt out an answer, and then I will let you know who buzzed in first, and they can go. And if they miss, then it will go on to the next person, and we'll go from there. So are we ready to play, guys?
Yeah.
All right, we've got Hunter behind the scenes. Hunter, are you ready to pull it up here? So I think we got one more slide here. That's a test. Go ahead. Okay, so our first question is on. Are you guys ready to buzz?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Hunter, let's move forward. All right, Logan's in. Logan, you have an answer?
I'm going to say World of Women.
Correct.
Wow.
All right. So
tremendous. Guys.
That is our first example there. I don't know if the other two were thinking of it. I only see Logan buzzing in, so I guess you guys didn't see it. But
I wouldn't have gotten in 10 minutes.
I thought that was an easy one, honestly. All right, so that's how it goes. That was a fun little one there. So are we ready? I'm going to clear the board here.
Hey, does my buzzer reset? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I just reset it.
All right.
So, all right, we are going to move on to the next one here when you are ready, Hunter. All right, Jason's in.
Is that Sappy Seals?
That is correct. As I said, these first few are going to be easy here. I thought the World of Women one would be easy, but I guess it wasn't as easy as I thought there. All right, so we've got Logan with one and Jason with one here. Let me clear the board. Move on to our next one here. Oh, we are up. Jason?
Is that CyberComs?
Yes, sir. All right. Tyler, you're gonna buzz in
buzzer
here?
So fast.
I love Midjourney.
I did.
So much.
I buzzed. I was going to go with a different project, so I would have missed that.
Midjourney is great. I've played with Midjourney probably more than anyone on here, so that's probably why.
You know, all right. And Hunter, I'm speaking to you from behind the scenes here. I'm just going to click through here and do it myself. I think it'll be a little bit easier here. So I have the board cleared. Are we ready for the next one, guys?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we got a stumper. Oh, Logan's in.
Is this CryptoPunks?
No. Jason's in next.
I buzzed in, but now I forget the name. It's the punk whatever, but I can't think of it, so maybe Tyler knows.
Oh,
Tyler?
Man. Do we get any hints here?
I think Jason just gave you a little hint there. He was correct on half of it.
It's the other punk one. What other punk one?
Punk World or something. What is? I mean, I forget what the project is called. What is? It was Beanie's project originally. No.
Yes. That's another clue. Anyone want to chime in? Logan?
It's Punk's Comic.
Punk's Comic.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I buzzed.
All right, let me reset here. I thought that was a good one. The comic there I thought would give it away, but it didn't apparently. All right, ready for the next one here. 3, 2, 1. Jason is in.
I messed up because I don't know the name of this project either, but I know exactly what it is. So we'll move on.
All right, Tyler was second here.
Kaiju Kings?
Yes, indeed. I scrolled down the list pretty far in the top 100 here, so we got some old projects. I wanted to see how much you guys remember the 21 bull market here. Let me clear the board. All right, next one on here in 3, 2, 1. This is a tough one.
Oh, my buzzer. I don't have a buzzer.
You don't have a buzzer?
No, I don't have a buzzer either.
All right, Jason's in. That's my bad.
I mean, no, Logan can go first. I'm probably gonna get it wrong. You go first.
No,
All right,
I don't
go.
actually. I hadn't seen it yet. I don't know.
Oh, so you're buzzing in preemptively?
Is
No,
it Murakami Flowers?
Yes, Jason is correct.
Damn
it.
Oh, man.
So I think that's 3 for Jason, 2 for Logan, and 1 for Tyler.
Oh, God. I don't know.
I don't know. I lost.
We're still going.
Gotta give
All right.
Jason a victory after I whooped him on the basketball courts. So
Yeah, I was just actually gonna say that. I didn't want to interrupt the game though, like you just did.
All right, next one here in 3, 2, 1. This is a tough one. You got to think abstractly, though. You got to think about how Midjourney would interpret it. And if no one buzzes in here and like, oh, Jason's in, all right.
I mean, I'm just gonna guess Moonbirds. I'm not sure though.
No, incorrect. If no one else buzzes in here, I have a next slide, which I did a different one to see if it would do something different. This might give it away a little bit more here. So I'll move on to the next one. Ready? Here we go.
Oh, God.
This one was
I got
nightmare
it.
fuel. Logan is buzzing in.
is it Art Gobblers?
Yes. So this was the art gobblers interpretation was the gobblers there of the beaks and everything.
That's it.
I thought that was a funny interpretation from Midjourney there. Couple more here. I think we got
Tremendous
3 more.
guess.
So
It's absurd.
3,
I don't have a
3,
buzzer
1 here.
right now.
I think Logan has tied it up now.
I think you have to reset the buzzer again.
Yep. Okay, we got the
I
buzzers
need
back.
to run the table here.
Yeah, Tyler's fighting from behind here. So let's go on to the next one in 3, 2, 1. Tyler's in.
Valhalla?
Yes. All right. I think we're
I
at
thought it
3,
was
3,
too
2 now.
obvious.
Yeah, I was trying to get it to generate without the words there. I thought the gibberish text there might give it away a little bit.
Can we just quickly? How much better would these products be if they use this Midjourney art? It's
I mean, how many-
incredibly better.
The question is how many of them already are using some sort of Midjourney art, like
Yeah,
for some of
true.
this lore here, because if you know the right prompts, I mean, these are amazing. But let's go on to it. I think there's 2 more left here. So Tyler could still run the table and take the lead here. We're at 3, 3, 2. Tyler's behind by 1 here. And we are ready in 3, 2, 1. All right, Jason is in.
Is it Invisible Friends?
Yes, very good.
Oh, I thought it could have been Ghost Boy. But I
He
guess
just
that would
beat
be-
me.
I was thinking when I saw this one, I was like, this one's a little bit tricky because it looks like some other NFT projects, but it's really referring to something else. So I'm impressed, Jason. That was a good guess. All right, so Jason's got a 4-3-2 lead here. I think we might be going into the final one here. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. It's another very difficult one. We're at the top. Logan?
Oh shit. I don't know. Is it? I was gonna say we're all gonna die because I thought the top left said something about that, but it doesn't appear.
No,
That's not even
incorrect.
top 100, is it?
Tyler buzzed in second here. You got a guess?
Is this the Lost Poets?
Wow. Yes.
Oh
Very
wow,
good.
fantastic!
That means I win. Thank you for.
Nope. There's actually 1 more. I was incorrect. So
Oh,
you're
let's
at
go.
4-3-3 now. So we've
I
got
hate that.
1 left. All right. Are we ready for the final one here? In 3, 2, 1. Another tough one. This is the top of the pyramid here. I thought this was the hardest one. We've got no one buzzing in.
No one got it. Yeah, no one got it. I won.
5, 4. Anyone want to throw out a Hail Mary? Tyler is buzzed in. Hail Mary there.
Alien friends.
No, incorrect. Logan?
Is it Avastars?
No.
Mother
Jason takes it home with nobody getting it. Jason, do you want to put in a guess on here?
My guess is it Logie sucks? Is that
Non-fungible Logans?
The correct answer on this one was Cool Man's Universe. So we got the universe here. This guy's pretty cool. Thought that was an awesome generation there.
Alien Friends, good guess, Tyler. That was a good guess. That should have counted probably as like half a point because it's so close.
Yeah, that was fun stuff. I love playing with the AI art as you've seen with all of the transitions there. Everything we do there is all mid-journey there, so it's been a lot of fun. But that's our show for today. We've gone a solid almost hour here. Any closing thoughts, guys? Anything to close out on here before we head off for the week?
Yeah, I think maybe this is going to be a good weekend to go touch grass. Don't be glued to your screens, especially those Blur NFT screens. Let's check back in next week, and hopefully it looks a little better.
I try to prepare my little send-off every time about Clay NFTs. And Ghost, you sent me earlier this week that even Claire Silver, the esteemed Claire Silver, is messing around with AI claymation. And so I just gotta give that as a shout out that claymation is and Clay NFTs. They're all great. Claynosaurs as well. Everything. It's all good. If it's Clay, it's good.
I want to shout out that game. That was dope. We should definitely do something like that again in the future. And get your Shadow Wolves, guys. Come on. And buy a freaking cool cat, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I mean, that's our show for today. Thanks to all of the people in the chat who were hanging out. Obi-Wan Kenobi, we got Herbivore, Gravity, Schmavity up above. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for playing with us. I saw someone mention Cock Punch as one of the possibilities for that the chicken one, which would have been a good guess. I didn't want to throw that one in there to see what had happened, but yeah. So that's our show. If you like this show and want more of our hot takes, make sure you tune into check out our NFT Roundtable article that we post every Thursday. We hashed out a lot of the same topics and more. And then check out myself, Tyler, and Logan on the Lucky Lead every morning on Twitter Spaces at 10 a.m. Eastern Time or in podcast form after. So thanks for watching and have a great rest of the week. And we are out.